everyone, it's time for some F&T. Here's your host, Kirsten Gentle.
Welcome to FTMA's F&T Time, a podcast and video series aimed at keeping the industry connected and updated. Welcome to another episode of FTMA's F&T Time podcast, where we explore the stories, the people and the passion behind the frame and truss industry. Today we're absolutely honoured to share a truly remarkable story that spans 3 generations of dedication and love for timber. Our special guests include Jeff Harvey, affectionately known as the Timberman, his son Steve and his granddaughter Alyssa, who together have built a legacy at Bowens and Timbertruss. Jeff's unparalleled 60-plus year career, driven by his deep love for trees as the lung of the earth and the sustainable future timber represents, has established himself as a true timber legend. Meanwhile, Steve and Alyssa carry forward this legacy with the same passion and commitment that has defined Jeff's 60-plus years. The Harvey family's multi-generational dedication to the timber industry is a powerful story of passion and purpose. For Jeff, timber is not just a material, it's a living, breathing testament to nature's brilliance. Jeff's love for the timber industry, coupled with his vast knowledge and hands-on experience, is what has inspired both Steve and Alyssa to follow in his footsteps. We will hear firsthand what's been Jeff's driving force behind his extraordinary career. After more than 6 decades, his unwavering dedication has set a powerful example for the industry and his family. What lessons has he taught Steve and Alyssa, and how have they applied them in their own roles? On the other hand, what new ideas or challenges does the younger generation bring to the table? Alyssa, as part of the new wave in the industry, may shed light on how things are evolving and what the future holds for timber. This episode is not just about the technicalities of timber, but about the people who bring it to life. We'll explore their shared passion for timber, their reflections on an industry at the heart of environmentally sustainable practices, and the unique bond that unites his family through generations. From someone who has grown up with sawdust in their boots, I'm very excited to interview such a passionate timber family. So please join me in welcoming Jeff, Steve and Alyssa to the F&T Time. Welcome along to F&T Time, everybody.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much.
So, Jeff, I've just done an intro explaining about your incredible 60 years in the industry, or 60-plus years. What's been the driving force and what keeps your passion alive after all this time in the industry?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's the fact is that I'm in a great industry. That certainly helps. To be quite honest, I don't work full-time now. I can enjoy the best of a bit of golf during the week as well as doing a bit of work for Bowens. That's what's key.
So how many days do you work now, Jeff? I
work from home and wherever the need is there. I mean, I've just been on the phone to a phone hookup. We're looking at a distributorship in Victoria for hydro wood down in Tasmania, where they log harvest trees from Lake Pyman in Tassie. There's a great environmental story about that. You know, they don't have any trouble at all with the green lobby at all down there with that product.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it? I've seen the operation firsthand. It's amazing. Jeff, when did you actually start in the industry?
1961.
Wow.
When wasn't Bowens, it was Bowen and Pomeroy. We had 2 or 3 sites. The main was in right next to the North Melbourne football ground. We had a green hardwood yard up the road from there, and we had a seasoning yard as well. So we had 2 different.
And how did you come to be in the industry, Jeff? Like, did you have a background in it, or was it just something you were passionate about, or just a job popped up?
No, my mum said, you've got to get a job, so we went to the Commonwealth Employment Bureau, and they said, there's one going at a timber yard in North Melbourne, and I applied for the job and I got it.
That's fantastic.
The only job I've ever applied for. Yeah.
Good old mum making you get a job. I love that. So Steve and Alyssa, maybe start with you, Steve. What inspired you to follow in Jeff's footsteps, and how has his experiences in the industry, shaped your career, I suppose?
Well, to be honest, I finished year 12, and then in '88 I just come off a knee reconstruction with football, and I was on crutches, and to be honest, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then there was a shortage down at that was working down at Hastings, Bowens Hastings there. So at the time we only had a small little truss plant at the back of the Hastings Timber and Hardware store. So initially I was just working in the office there, doing filing and doing all the jobs of. And at that time there was only 3 or 4. People working in the office, so I was just helping out that daily filing and all that. And then from there it went from helping out the estimating, and then slowly but surely progressing up the ranks in the truss sector, and then getting into sales, and then slowly but surely working within the Bowens Timber and Hardware side of things, with working with the Bowens branches and as well as the Bowens prefab, and then. Eventually just went from there, and obviously, I mean, there's no doubt there's a little bit of history, and we look at what the old man's done. It's no doubt it's great to have that I suppose relationship with the Bowen family and what they've done for our family, and we've sort of had that trust to keep going, and so eventually Bowens merged with Timbertruss, and I was also working under the technically still the Bowens banner, but it's under the brand of Timbertruss on their prefab section. So it's been a.
So were you at Timbertruss before Bowens bought it, or you were still with Bowens at that stage?
I was Bowens, yeah. So I was with Bowens at the time, and then when Bowens bought Timbertruss, it obviously they rebranded the prefab arm under the Timbertruss banner, and I stayed in that side of things.
So Dad started in 1961, and when did you start?
I started in 1988. So
there you go.
Yeah, just gone past 37 at the moment. So it's it was nothing to be honest. I never ever really felt I need to follow in the old man's footsteps, but it's sort of something that people keep saying. You eventually get to that point, but it's something I've always enjoyed in terms of the evolving of not only the truss industry, but where we can sort of take prefab and all those different sectors. And unfortunately, I've been sort of involved with our innovation area, and that's where I've sort of been able to keep, I suppose, really enjoying the role.
Fantastic. And Alyssa, what about yourself? So when did you join? We got 61, 88. When did you join?
I think end of 2023 I joined.
Yep.
Yeah, Pop had always wanted me to come work at Bowens after school, so as soon as I finished I worked. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, to be honest. It wasn't my usual area. But no, I ended up loving it, and I worked full-time all of last year while I had my gap year from uni, and now I'm just still working as a casual.
And what do you do in Bowens, Alyssa?
I'm in the hardware woods, so I'm not too much to do with timber, but still get involved. And
I was at the Bowens Women in Trade last week and or the week before, and oh my God, it's amazing to see all the women that are working at Bowens and how much they enjoy the camaraderie and how the business treats them.
Yeah, it is, and everyone's really close, and it's a great community to be part of.
So, I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter whether you're in the frame and truss or you've been in the timber yard or now doing, the selvage, the harvesting of the hewn or the hydro pine. So, tell me, why do you believe timber, especially timber frames and trusses, are the best building material? So why, Jeff, why should builders choose timber?
Well, obviously there's a great environmental story, and particularly at the moment where the steel industry is hitting the advertising market with steel framing, and the boss was even telling me yesterday that one of the bigger builders is advertising steel framing, and our problem within the industry is we're so fragmented that we're more worried about getting an order from our competitors than looking at the overall macro scene. And you've got the situation where the steel industry, in comparison, there's fewer players, and they can afford to do all this advertising, and in some ways it leaves us a bit behind in that area because we've got a great story to tell. I mean, our raw product grows on the sun and rain from the atmosphere, whereas the steel industry's got to mine all their product from grounds and leave great big holes in the ground, all that sort of stuff. And that story's not being told out there.
Yeah, I think it's really important, Jeff. And when you sit there and say that, the average timber-framed home grows back in 150 seconds, and when you sit there and say to people, how long do you think it takes it to grow back for the steel, which the answer is obviously it doesn't grow back. So it blows my mind, and I think builders are slowly starting to listen. We've been extremely impressed with Burbank Homes up in Queensland, who, they did, a couple of years ago, they did about 3,000 homes, which is equivalent to taking over 4,000 cars off the road. And that environmental message is slowly starting to get through. But you're right. It's the steel industry is definitely having a little bit of an impact, and I do believe that they've got big players, and it's easier for them to unite, I suppose.
Yes, it's a problem, and there are. If you look at the promotional side of it, and Wood Products Victoria, perhaps with Boris Isker and Alyssa, to extent now, Alistair Woodard, they were like a lone hand promoting timber products and all these sort of environmental issues that need to be put forward out there for people to understand. I mean, I can remember years ago playing a game of golf, and a bloke said to me, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm in the timber industry." And he said, "Oh, you're one of those blokes out there chopping down trees." That's the perception out there, that we're environmental vandals out there raping and pillaging the forest, whereas nothing could be further from the truth, even though we're not allowed to.
What was your response to him?
I'm ashamed to say I let it go through to the keeper. I should have told him. I wonder what your house is built out of.
That's it. The fact is, there's not one day, if any person out there, I challenge you to think of one day in your life that you've lived without a timber product, and you just can't do it. It's simple as that. We need timber, and we're lucky to be in that sustainable industry. So I'm just wondering, Steve or Jeff or Alyssa, what's the biggest lessons that you've learnt and passed on? So, Alyssa, is there any good advice that your Uncle Steve or your grandfather gave you?
I think the other day we were talking, Pop and I. He was just talking about working at Bowens and how much I'm enjoying it, and just saying, with my careers moving forward, as long as I'm honest and I'm loving what I do like he does, then that's all I can really do to be successful and happy in life. And I think that was a good bit of advice he's given me recently. Yeah.
And Steve, what about you?
I think, I suppose you look at the work ethic that he's always applied, and it's not just myself; it's all the families. I suppose both mum and dad, the way they go about things, and that's what we've sort of grown apart and grown with, and that's how we, not just myself and we have two brothers, and I think that's something that how we've always lived life, and we apply that to work as well, and that's I suppose testament to what they've passed on to us, and what we should be going about our normal job as well. The work ethic and endeavour to keep the what's true to what we feel is the best way how we go about our jobs. So that's being honest with people and developing relationships. I think that's part and parcel. That's really important, particularly with the market these days and how we go about it.
Yeah, definitely. And Jeff, when you started, you would have had Obviously it would have been, maybe back then a bit more stick built rather than the prefabricated frames and trusses. What's the biggest change you've seen with timber sales and in the industry throughout your career?
When I first started, the green hardwood was the predominant building material. Trusses only had wouldn't have had about 10% of the market. Now, of course, it's about 90% of the roofing market. So green hardwood, and the fact that we've graduated to plantation grown framing, particularly. So that's a big thing. And of course with Bowens, we didn't have a branch, not one branch, and we started our first branch in 67, then the next one in 1970, and now we've grown to 19 of them. So Bowens has really evolved into a branch network, whereas before we were one entity. We sold a lot of stuff in the country. We were wholesale distributors, and we were divorced from that, and we've had to adjust. And it's a great company in as much that it's evolved into these changes, and it's kept pace with them all the time. And I think that's where we're ahead of a lot of our competitors, and I suppose that starts from the top with the Bowen family and the way they've got such a great passion for not only the company but for the timber industry.
Yeah, the first time I met John, I'd known Jack forever, being in the timber industry, and I met John, and Peter Wines, who was the president of the association, was with us at the time, and we're talking away to John, and then he mentioned truss planes. I went, "Oh, do you own truss planes, do you?" And Peter Wines kind of gave me a little bit of a kick under the table, and he's like, "What do you mean? What do you think we're here?" And I went, I just thought it was Bowens Timber and Hardware. I didn't know they did trusses, and who would have known at that point you'd end up owning the biggest truss plant in the Southern Hemisphere. So what about you, Jeff, during your time? It's still from, 88? It's been a lot of changes. What's the biggest changes you've seen?
I suppose the biggest thing is particularly with first of all with the truss side of things, and it's not just obviously timber truss itself. And when you look at a lot of state-of-the-art truss plants these days, it's all automation. We're trying to install the less labour, and it's more trying to get that volume what we can. And I suppose our facility down what we at the timber truss is an amazing plant, because if you look at if you ever have a look at it, it's so state-of-the-art facility where it's a lot of automation and that repetition, and what we can as you just hinted, Kirsten, we're the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere, and but from the actual prefab section itself, I mean, it's gone from what we can do, normal standard frame truss, to actually even going with the innovation of next gen with floor cassettes, pre-clad walls, and even doing a lot of the stuff that goes from the normal prefab to advancing that further with what we can actually save volume and save the time on site as well. So, and I suppose look at what the industry is going with energy efficient design homes. There's a lot of volume, and I suppose with 140 walls and all those design changes or energy efficient changes that they're 7-star rating, etc. With the energy. Saving all that, I suppose, the cost of electricity these days. The prefab section is no doubt reacting in that, and the design of what we can classify as passive design homes, and all that are coming into the market as well. So it's always evolving, and that's I suppose the good thing about the industry. There's always new challenges ahead. There's
always changes, isn't there?
Yeah.
And Alyssa, what do you think, like from a younger person coming into our industry? I mean, there's a lot of people that go, the younger generation, they expect everything up front. But what have you found in regards to coming into the industry, or what do you think has been, I suppose, one of the great things about the industry, or where you could see changes are needed?
I'm not as involved, I'd say, in my role, but I think just with the company, where I'm working at. I feel like the company is such a they push everyone forward, and there's a big progression in just keeping like everyone within the company and looking after everybody. And I just like coming from like jobs where you weren't working for a family business or something like that. It's good to work for a company that is so involved, and you know, like you feel looked after, which is good, I think.
Yeah, and what do you think, Alyssa? You said about a family business. I'll finish up with asking you all, what's it like to work as a family in a family business? Do you feel it? Do you feel that, Alyssa, as a young one, you have to watch what you do? That your uncle and your pop are looking over your shoulder. Do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I mean, I feel like there's with pop, everyone knows who pop is, and there's a expectation for you, which is, I mean, a good and a bad thing, I think. I mean, like, he's obviously made me very comfortable in the company, and I think people have looked after me a lot here, which has been good.
Yeah, that's something John Bowen, I'm sure, could relate to, because I used to always say that, I think that Glenn Tilling and John Bowen had both such hard jobs because their parents were such icons in the industry that following their footsteps is always hard.
Yeah.
And Steve, have you ever felt that pressure from following from Dad?
Well, because there's a little bit of separation, I suppose, with the business now. We are with Timbertruss and Bowens, so much as they're obviously under the same banner, there's not that, I suppose, close felt relationship as what I suppose we used to have as a Bowens entity in itself. So, but in saying that, there's no doubt, the relationship I have with John particularly, and working with him, and then on the prefab side, and then obviously there's always that chat about the timber and hardware, and obviously and what we have with with Dad and what he's done there, and we always ask how things are going and how he's going, and there's always that chat about it. But I think there's something that you always feel, I suppose, honoured that you're still working in a business, for so long, and how they keep the faith in you. I think that's something that, no doubt that's helpful when your father's been there for 64 years and they've developed that trust in him, and I suppose that's passed on to us, and you feel a bit fortunate in that regard with your job, because there's always. Yeah. Some people sometimes take jobs for granted, and no doubt, even though we've been here for so long, I feel lucky in that regard that we're working under such a great family-owned business. And
Jeff, to finish with you, what's it like having Steve and Alyssa following your footsteps? Something that's made you pretty proud.
Yeah, my word, it is, and I've no doubt Steve could have gone to umpteen different other trust companies, but he's always stuck fat with Bowens. So, he's a very loyal man to that degree, and I'm proud of it.
Says the man with a 60-plus year career at the one business. You're the perfect definition of what loyalty means, Jeff.
Well, that's right, and I take my granddaughter over there. She's taken to this the company like a duck to water. I can't believe it. And I keep telling her you could have a great future with the company if you stick with it. She's doing a uni course, and I think I just mentioned to the HR manager the other day, she's changing her to a HR course, so keep an eye on her, because I think she's got potential.
No, well, look, honestly, I know what it's like to work with family. I've worked with my husband and I in a family business. My daughter, of course, Nikita, worked with FTMA for 7 years, and it is wonderful to see family actually excel in the roles and share that passion with you. I know it's something that I was very, very proud of, and I can see that, how proud you are too, Jeff.
Yes, very good.
So thank you all very much for joining us. You are a remarkably passionate family, and our industry is lucky to have the three of you, and as we are to have family-owned businesses like Bowens. So thanks very much for joining us and sharing your story with the F&T Time listeners.
Thanks,
Thank
Kirsten.
you.
Good on
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Good on you.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's stories like these that truly highlight the strength and resilience of our industry. Reflecting on the dedication of the Harvey family and the nearly 100 years of combined service at Bowens Timber and Hardware is a reminder of the immense value that loyalty, respect and strong relationships bring to the success of any business. Their commitment not only built a stronger company, but has also contributed to a thriving and vibrant industry. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to families like the Harveys and to all the hardworking individuals who put their time, effort and passion into making frame and truss industry what it is today. It's these stories of dedication and service that inspire us all to continue building, innovating and supporting each other as our industry is full of family-owned businesses. Make sure you subscribe to F&T Time and stay tuned for more stories, insights and discussions about the people and businesses shaping our industry. Until next time, take care and thank you for listening.